Hitler fought Truman, desegregated military in 1948, Congress of Racial Equality 1942, MLK Nonviolent Action, different from Malcolm X, Civil Rights and Black Power movement, M to segregation, racial progress, pride, self-determination. The post-racial era remains hypothetical. So, 1954, 1960, black soldiers in World War II and Korean War. Cold War, color division, especially in the South, separate but equal doctrine, separate schools, parks, restrooms, separate public accommodation. Apartheid style, high unemployment, migration to the north, new political voice, school segregation since 1896, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, 1909, 1950, 21 states maintain segregated schools, black parents sued to invalidate the separate but equal doctrine, 1952, Supreme Court, Brown case, psychological effects of segregation, racial exclusion, unanimous decision, 1954, end segregation in public facilities, white resistance, Southern White Manifesto 1956 by 101 legislators, violent resistance by city councils, KKK murders. 1955, Emmett Till was killed in Mississippi after an altercation with a white woman. Chicago Memorial, first mediatized civil rights event. 1955, Rosa Parks from the NAACP is arrested. Mass boycott, mass meeting, Holt Street Baptist Church. MLK speech, February 56. 80 boycotters fined and jailed. National press coverage. Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Improve access to money and vote. Crusade for citizenship. Supreme Court declared segregated schools unconstitutional. Status quo. Little Rock 9 couldn't enter a desegregated school. National coverage. Malcolm X, Nation of Islam. 1957, leader of Temple 7 in Harlem. Urban areas. White devils. Non-violent strategies to desegregate public facilities. The sit-in movement. Civil disobedience. Spring 1960, libraries, hotels, 3,000 arrestations by the end of the school year. Businesses ended their segregation policy. Successful strategy, SNCC, Student National Coordinating Committee, non-violent organization. The Hate produced documentary Scary Black Muslim. October 1960, MLK does a sit-in, arrests national attention. Kennedy released him. Support of black voters. Lobbying, student activism, and AACP boycotts, marches, voter registrations. 1961, 1966. African Americans dissatisfied with Kennedy. 1961, Court tested segregation in transport. Freedom riders regularly assaulted in the South. No intervention of the police. September 61, government banned and segregation in interstate careers. White segregationists' resistance, direct action, voter registration drives. Stokely Carmichael, freedom rider, prison, Black Power. SNCC, direct action, voter registration wing. White officials used poll taxes, literacy tests, citizenship exam, intimidation, violence. September 61, Mississippi's first voter registration project, dangerous. De facto segregation strong in the South. Fail of the Albany movement. 1963, Birmingham, first major civil rights campaign of the SCLC. MLK jailed, violent arrests. Federal government pushed for gradual desegregation. KKK bombs. Protests close to riots. 1963, 900 protests in spring and summer. August 28, March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom by a coalition of civil rights organizations. 200,000 demonstrators. I have a dream. JFK assassinated in November. Mississippi, symbol of American racism and resistance to desegregation. 1964, Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, civil rights activists, 3 deaths. Civil Rights Act under Johnson banned discrimination, support to affirmative action, resistance of the Deep South. Voter registration, March 7, 65. Bloody Sunday, demonstrators chased by Alabama state troopers. 4 marches in Selma, we shall overcome. Johnson Voting Rights Act, effective. Whites thought the struggle was over. Still lower socioeconomic status, politically prevented to express. South to North migrants. SNCC didn't understand MLK's reliance on federal government. Northern inner cities, too slow pace. Listen to Malcolm X. 1965-1977. Lack of substantial results, more explicit or radical action. Civil rights revolution. Elijah Muhammad, leader of the Nation of Islam since 1935. Separatist interpretation of Black Power. Black Homeland rejects Christianity. White Devil rhetoric. Malcolm X, house burned by KKK, troubled upbringing. 1930s, Back to Africa movement, early black nationalism, separatism. 10 years in prison. Nation of Islam. Racial superiority, focus on religion, against Christianity. Economic empowerment, Black Power message effective on young poor African Americans. Black pride, generation and class cleavage in the civil rights movement. Nation of Islam isn't politic, not in marches and demonstrations. Malcolm X left Nation of Islam, threatened and shot to death by them. 1965. MLK won Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. Spoke against war in Vietnam. Shot April 3rd, 1968. Uprisings. 1/4 of families below poverty line. Higher unemployment rates. 1960 1968 Kerner Report says we are moving towards two societies, separate and unequal. There are proposals, but nothing is done. War in Vietnam, more important than war on poverty. Black overrepresentation. World War II Korea. Noi, Black Panthers. Separatist radicals. Black power, group solidarity, black consciousness, shared experience. Hamilton. Black power, the politics of liberation, 1967. Separatism for integration or multi-ethnic coalition. SNCC, Black Panthers, ultimate goal, separatism, ensure equal status. Watts riots, LA, 6-day riot, 65, 3,000 arrests, 34 deaths. March Against Fear, June 5, 1966, shooting of first black student of University of Mississippi. Media attention wanted by radical nationalists. Black Panther Party advocated armed self-defense. Black leather jackets, black parents, Afro haircuts, guerrilla activities. Breakfast for Children program. 1969. 10-point program. Self-determination, revolutionary activism, economic empowerment. 1968. Race. They shifted from a race approach to a class approach, became Marxist-Leninist. SNCC, different from Black Panther Party, to death, tension. COINTELPRO operation since 1956, from the FBI to police radicals. Angela Davis, fugitive, 16 months in prison for something she didn't do. Black Panther Party, greatest threat to internal security, disintegrated after 1972. Decline of nationalist organization. 70s separatism over. Economic and political development favored in black nationalism. Black power widely accepted. Black political conventions in the 60s and 70s. First Black Power Conventions of Washington. SNCC, CORE, NAACP, SCLC, NOI. 1972, Cary National Black Convention, Cary Black Agenda, question busing, demands for proportionate representation in Congress, black employment, minimum wage, health insurance, support black candidate, racial identity, link to Africa, in or out of mainstream politics, success of federally supported voter registration. Congressional Black Caucus, Moderate Black Power, Independent, Political Organization, Boycott Nixon. 71 Inaugural Address, Permanent Interests, Inheritor of Civil Rights, Black Power. CPC, Black Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights, 72. Acts for commitment to equality, employment, health insurance, education, socio-economic and political equality to the Democratic Party. Black slowly adjusted to mainstream. 70s, 15 representatives plus 1 senator. Kwanzaa holiday, annual African American holiday, belonging to the back to Africa tradition. Black Arts Movement, Toni Morrison, Alice Walker, National Black Feminist Organization against male black power and white feminists. Black Studies, Better Access to Education, 1970s recession hit black poor, development of black middle class. 1978, 2004, doesn't matter. Conservative Republican Reagan elected in 1980. Conservatives accused welfare of breaking down families. Moynihan Report. 65. Declining significance of race. Wilson. 78. Underclass over black. Conservatives denied the need for federal welfare reform. Indicated fragility of new black middle class and pervasiveness of institutional racism. Rejected busing and affirmative action. Black conservatives, 1980s. Thurman Conference, 1980s. 1980. Emphasis on personal responsibility. Race-neutral approach. Transethnicity, rejection of collective vision of African American interest, desire for integration. Reagan government reduced welfare aid. Hamilton deracialization for promoting black American interests. Jesse Jackson, 84. Jesse Jackson, 84, presidential contender, core member, organized 1965 marches, civil rights leader, Rainbow Coalition against racism and poverty. Good majority of black voters voted for them. Total lack of white support. African Americans still politically marginalized. 1988, 30% of overall vote, 92% of black vote, black candidates dependent on Democratic Party, but unable to have a major influence on the party's line, since black did vote. Bill Clinton set up a commission of race relations. Nationalists, independence as an illusion. One where blacks were the majority. American Nation of Islam supported Jackson, helped with the militia, but anti-Semitic discourse. Men should man up as fathers and voters. Racial solidarity and pride. 1995, success of the Million Man March, between 400,000 and 800,000 people, to denounce police brutality and mass incarceration. Nation of Islam, black nationalism, racist and sexist, black Muslims, polemical figures, 80s, 90s, new black middle class, Oprah Winfrey, Toni Morrison, Condoleezza Rice. High unemployment, persistence of inequalities, high rate of school dropout, rising crime, high incarceration rates, lower median income, black women, black feminism of the 90s, conflicting with hip-hop movement that got mainstream. Black youth tired of no social progress, supplies ran short. Public health emergency declared. Lack of federal efforts criticized. Kanye West criticized Bush. Racial inequalities. Poor neighborhood devastated. Barack Obama mixed heritage. Rhetorically adapted to his audience unity, pragmatic, white support. Not white or black enough. Ignores symbolic racism. Did not focus on racial issues. Racially transcendent strategy. Post-racial. Obama was elected with 53% of the vote, 95% of black vote, 43% of white vote. Celebrated worldwide as racial progress. In 2042, minorities will become majorities. Racial identities still strictly defined. Black identity, hypodescent, one-drop rule. Backlash from white men, not a true American Muslim. Historical hope, not transformative. Structural barriers, racial lines. 25% of black